This first restaurant is casual. It's inside a department store, it's the most chaotic restaurant I've ever been to, and it costs $50. The second restaurant is a temple to making the weirdest dumplings and pastas that you've ever seen, and it costs $100. The third restaurant is one of the top 5 best restaurants in the world, has flying pigs, is a 4-hour-long tasting menu, and costs $500. All 3 restaurants were started by one legendary chef, and today we're going to visit them all, find out if they're any good, see which one's the best, and see if they're worth the price. This is the universe that the world's best chef has created. I've wanted to make this video for about 5 years now. You see, the chef has inspired me not only in cooking and eating, but also just as a lover of food. Dabiz Muñoz was named as the world's best chef in 2022. He first started his 3 Michelin star restaurant DiverXO, expanded to his casual counter-seating restaurant StreetXO, and recently added on his dumpling temple RavioXO. And he's the mastermind behind all 3.
Even if it's in DiverXO, if it's in StreetXO, if it's in RavioXO, I like to make my own creativities.
Every one of his creations, every one of his restaurants is crazy, weird, innovative, and exciting. And today I finally get to try them all out. So today we're going to move our way up the ladder in price, find out what makes each of these restaurants so special, and figure out which one is the best, starting with StreetXO. StreetXO is probably one of the coolest restaurants I've been to. It's all counter seating, so you can see everything happening in the kitchen right in front of you. There's all this graffiti, street signs, house music blasting in the background. Here, there are no reservations, and even if you get here when it opens, you're still gonna be waiting around an hour or 2. But there's a reason for that. Dabiz Muñoz in general is known for crazy combinations of flavor. You have foie gras and guinea fowl in a ramen that makes the broth incredibly rich, creamy, and flavorful. Kimchi and tuna croquettes for a spicy, tangy, crunchy bite. Singaporean brioche topped with butter that's been turned into a powder. All of these are stunning creations that combine his love of Asian flavors with Spanish ingredients.
This is the most chaotic lunch experience I've ever had. You can hear the music, it's like house music, it's like pumping. I'm gonna turn the camera on and I'm gonna just show you what the hell is going on. It's like insane.
You finish the meal with their chocolate mole in the shape of a skull with passion fruit cream and cookies with milk. What a start to this marathon of amazing meals. So for about $50, even at the cheapest restaurant this chef has, I was able to get some really creative food in a place that's exciting and energetic. I waited for about 45 minutes to get my spot, but it was well worth the wait. I actually went to this next restaurant within its first month of opening, and I kind of knew the concept going in, but nothing could have prepared me for the types of dumplings and pastas that I would be eating there. RavioXO is a restaurant that combines old classics with new dishes. It focuses on dumplings and pastas, but still incorporates those same Asian flavors and creative cooking that we saw at StreetXO. You have some old dishes from DiverXO's menu, like this carrot and rabbit dish, which was on the menu in 2007. But you also get some newer dishes like this Korean bolognese bao, which by the way is a combination of words that I never thought that I'd be saying. Then you just get incredible bites like this gyoza with veal and Mexican mole. It was pure bliss, and I feel like my reaction here says that. So this place will set you back about $100 per person, and not gonna lie, some of these bites were my favorite bites on the entire trip. StreetXO feels more casual and chaotic. RavioXO feels a little bit more thoughtful and refined. It's almost like a mini version of DiverXO, and it even features some dishes that were on that old DiverXO menu. Every one of these dishes was a combination of flavors that I had never tasted before. A prawn where you take the head off and squeeze its juices onto the pasta, an inside-out dumpling. For a lot of people, this might just be the best meal of their lives. So we've tried our $50 meal, we've tried our $100 meal. I'm not gonna drag this out. It's time for our $500 3 Michelin star meal at DiverXO.
I am so excited.
This restaurant has literally been a dream of mine to go to. There's flying pigs everywhere because Dabiz from a young age knew that he wanted a restaurant that people would line up for hours for. His father was skeptical and said that it would happen when pigs fly, and at DiverXO, pigs definitely fly.
Got the third Michelin star 10 years ago, and that was like so crazy.
Yeah.
In that moment I was 33 years old, and you know that was so many people talking about the restaurant. We got famous so fast. It was like, wow, what the hell is that?
This is the strongest start to a fine dining meal I've ever had. Normally you have all these little bites that build up to appetizers and then eventually meats, but here you start off with a pigeon leg glazed with wine and a side salad with plankton, see-through macaroni, and grilled embryonic egg yolk.
I feel like the fact that it's like a cold dish, but it's cooked, the caviar is like really smooth, but then you get a little crunchiness from like the leaves. Really interesting dish.
We then get a tour of some street food style bites with a caipirinha with ginger, lemongrass, mint, and basil, a black pepper crab, a pad thai in a prawn head, green curry, and laksa.
This one's so good.
The reason Dabiz has inspired me so much is because he showed me that fine dining doesn't have to just have delicate flavors. It's okay to punch your guest in the face with flavor. So often, these fine dining restaurants are all about beautiful but subtle flavors. Here you're gonna get the opposite of that. You're gonna get lots of spice, lots of intensity in every single dish. This dish in particular was one of the most intense bites of food I've ever had in my life because
It's a very special consomme because we cook for 24 hours. And to get only 250 milliliters, we need more than 8 kilos of tomato.
Whoa. The tomato flavor is crazy. It was reduced for 24 hours, 8 kilos of tomatoes turns into 250 milliliters of sauce. That was just like explosion of tomato flavor in your mouth. Wow.
it was so good I had to lick up the sauce. The next course we had not only came with 3 different types of fish, but also one of the most interesting salads.
Try to make a really good dish from something that normally is not okay, which is this kind of salad that you keep in the fridge from the day before and it's a little bit frost on top.
I mean, these dishes are things that I never thought would be edible, let alone appetizing. Turning leftover, frost-ridden vegetables into a delicious salad is not something that I would ever imagine would show up at one of the world's best restaurants. But it's this willingness to experiment that has made DiverXO so great. The next dish consisted of completely raw baby eels that would be prepared tableside.
Pouring really hot oil on top of the baby eels instead of cooking the baby eels into the oil.
It was one of the simplest dishes that we had that night, just served with a clam veloute and enoki mushrooms, but was one of the highlights of the menu. It was followed by an absolutely sublime Iberian pork dumpling with gochujang and Spanish broth. I will give it to this man. Dabiz knows how to make a great dumpling.
Okay, so we continue with our fried eggs and black pudding dumpling.
But there was a hidden compartment underneath that gave way to a crunchy, bittersweet ear. Look, I loved all of these dishes, but perhaps my favorite of the night was this next dish, which is called a Galician lobster waking up on the beaches of Goa. And it's served with an Indian salmorejo pani puri that arrives on a freaking elephant. This is the perfect blend of Indian and Spanish flavors. It's absolute perfection.
Oh, it's a lot creamier than I expected. There's just a nice warming spice underneath, and it's really creamy, which is delicious.
Before we finished our main courses, I just wanted to show you the bathroom. There's mirrors everywhere, butterflies, and even dental products so you can brush your teeth during the meal. I'll admit, this is my first time highlighting a restaurant's bathroom in the middle of the meal. And also my first time brushing my teeth in a restaurant. Our 2 mains were where all the decadence and richness came in. An assortment of dishes to complement that beautiful roasted lamb with black garlic gnocchi, lamb fried milk, truffles, the whole 9 yards. We then had Kagoshima A5 Wagyu beef with prawn paste, tamarind, and a white beef broth. This is one of the few meals where I felt like every single dish was an absolute winner. My mind was blown. As we headed into desserts, I was not expecting how fun this would be.
Rice pudding, but with finish like a risotto with toasted butter creamy with.
Oh my god, it's popping. There's pop rocks in this dish.
And from bright pink to pitch black desserts, our meal was finished. This meal was $500, so the question that you're all probably wondering is, which one is the best? StreetXO, RavioXO, or DiverXO? My friend who I went to all 3 of these with actually loved RavioXO the best, when you take into account the food, the creativity, the quality, and of course, the price. I personally love DiverXO because it completely changed the way that I thought about food, fine dining, and spice. But I first fell in love with StreetXO 5 years ago when I just stumbled into it while traveling. Either way, I think Dabiz says it the best.
There was a lot of things, but I think, honestly, that the best is yet to come.